Good evening. Whew. Just had a beautiful interlude of beautiful music from grades 7 to 12 of my son's school. He's in grade 9 and in his band, and they did the Seven Nations song. Boo, doo, 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 doo. It was quite beautiful. As I was driving home, I got looking at the divine perfection of everything that's going on, everything that's happening to me. Looking at my life of 52 years and how much time I spent completely unaware of what was going on underneath, struggling and fighting and contributing to a story that society sold me, my parents sold me, everybody sold me, saying this is the way you have to love and live and how you get a job and how you're successful. And it's a pretty big realization to sit and look and realize that I have had to step away from every version of success that the world programmed me with. I've had to look into the bottom of every single facet of my reality. And the more and more I dig, the more and more I become aware. I begin to realize that there's a force, there's a God, there's a source, whatever you want to call it, that exists under everything. And that everything has a purpose, and it all aligns and it connects together with multi people, the collective, the everything. And everything comes together in these glorious ways. Some people call it traumatic sometimes, hard, out of control, failure, etc. But I'm having more and more perspective now on every facet of what happened, and that it had to happen, and why it had to happen, and how it shaped me, and it formed me, and it gave me experiences that shone perspectives of my reality to be maybe not true, to maybe have flaws in them, to have errors. And it kept making me look deeper inside myself. And each time I dug down and I found stuff that I didn't like, or felt off, or false, or failure, or doubt, or traumatic, or assaulting, I'm now having the ability to see the perspective back on all of those things, even like losing houses, having bankruptcy happen with the company that I was with, losing a lot of my company, losing relationships, etc. And maybe even facets of not having sexuality in my life. I started very late in my life. I started at 30 years old. And I look at all of it, and for a lot of times I judge myself, and I got really frustrated, and I felt bad that I'd missed something, and then I couldn't show it to my parents, show it to my brothers and sisters, or my wives, or my kids, because it was all judged around houses and how good of a job you had and how much money you had, and whether you had houses and trailers and boats and blah, blah, blah. And those things all fell away over time, even homes and belongings and stuff over time. And as we unearth ourselves in this awakening process, we start to realize that there was divine flow in all of it. We can sit and fight it and say, oh, I didn't get the money, or I didn't get the house, or my job didn't get, or my boss was an asshole, or whatever. And as we dig deeper and as we dig deeper and we're pushed to awaken and pushed to awaken, we start to realize that we were victims to these things, and everybody was playing out power dynamics and all these kind of things. And we didn't want that in the first place, so it didn't feel good. And then we slowly learned that we had power to make choices and change jobs and do different things, and kind of up-leveling each time in awareness and starting to realize that I'm creating my own reality. All these things, even things like not having sexuality early in my life, I felt like for a long time that I was missed out. But as I look at it now, it's very different. It's like, holy fuck, look at all the train wrecks I avoided, or the maybe getting women pregnant and having more children, or broken relationships, or whatever. Even looking now at the dating experiences I've had this last little while, it's like I don't want to submerge myself in the dating pool, because it's all full of trauma and mess and anger and people that are just hoping to solve their problem by finding somebody. Where now I've progressed, I've grown as a man, and I can't expose myself to being unaware, not having direct communication, not having agreements, not having boundaries. And those things scare the shit out of people on dating sites. And it triggers the fuck out of people, as we've obviously seen here recently. So now, focusing more on inner union, getting okay with myself and loving myself and being worthy of the dreams of what I wanted. So this is where the advanced level that I mentioned in the post comes. So eventually you get to this point when you start to have this mad thought, or this giddy little thought, that maybe I am creating my reality. And you begin to start injecting little experiments into your reality, like, what would happen if my bank accounts were filled right up and it wasn't around work anymore? And that I didn't have to feel guilty about not having a job and slaving, that the universe just fed me as I needed it. And I've got tons of examples of where the universe has given me flow. It gave me money just at the right time. It didn't make me fall on my face, didn't make me have really hard lessons when I was listening, and things just tended to work out. There's enough money in the bank account, and everything just flowed. So you get to this place, and then you start experimenting. And now I'm at this place of how relationships are looking very different to me. And I'm just like, okay. So I'm not going to go and chase and try and find a relationship. I'm going to call one in. I'm going to get that inner divine union, that it feels so amazing, because now I trust myself, and I trust myself with whatever shows up with a woman, and I can speak in integrity, and I can speak in love, and I can speak directly and ground the situation for a highest good for both. And does that start to bring massive depth and massive vulnerability and massive intimacy. And I'm not talking intimacy of like sexuality, that comes along with it, but into me see. So seeing deep down and exposing and showing all our pieces. And then by that vulnerability and that sharing, having magic start to show up, because now new depth is there, new openness, and then the vibration rises, and then really exquisite acts of pleasure, bliss, even just of awareness can happen. And those are the things that I want, not this 3D based, am I okay with this person and can we make it, or can I give love and hopefully they love back, blah, 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 all the mess. So now I'm starting to experiment with, okay, my reality had a whole bunch of old stories, and the work that Joy does around Presence Manifest, she talked, I made a post today, and we talked about it being defrag of the hard drive of our brain. So what if every time it came up to a story that said, oh, you got lots of debt, oh, you got no love in your life, oh, your job's not working out, oh, tilt, just say, end that, okay. And a new way of abundance coming in is coming in, and it doesn't involve a job anymore. new relationships are starting to show up in my life, so I can continue to explore myself in another and share depths of intimacy and unwinding and spiritual growth with that person, and see the magic show up in other facets of what a relationship is. In living my life now, where it's a full-time job, and I don't even consider it a job, to have these lives, to talk about what's going on, to deal with whatever collective shit is showing up. And it's not a failure anymore. It's my role. And it's a really fucking important role. The more and more people that we have that are plumbing the depths of what is reality and what our beliefs are, and challenging them and inserting new possibilities. This is the advanced level stuff. What if we just said, okay, I'm not going to live that way anymore. I'm not going to live in a world where it's filled with control and all these things. And no, I live in a world filled with love and transparency and accountability and vulnerability and self-responsibility. And you just start shining that out into the world and believing that that's now possible. And eventually, if enough people see that light, hear the idea and believe it, eventually there's a collective reality that starts to form, that's shared between a whole bunch of different people. And I don't know how many people follow Rick Jewers, but he made a post today and he said, what if it took one person to raise the awareness of 1,000 people that has hired or increased their vibration? And then he goes in and says, okay, so that would be 8,000 awakened people would get us the 8 billion. I'm just thinking about the math there right now, but I think that's 8 million. But anyways, and we already know that it's not everybody is even a soul here. So he suggested that maybe we only need 240 really awakened people that joined as community and talked about things and believed in a new reality that would be able to shift the reality for the whole entire human race. So what if the dream that's in your head that you have tried for your whole life that hasn't worked out, that the vibration level is now at a level that we can make that shift as a team of light workers? And we just had to start shining our light into the possibility of having abundance show up without having to work and having to slave. What if we had new perspectives on how relationships work, and it's not about loving outside ourselves, it's about self-love and setting boundaries and clear communication and directness? What if the structures of the world were no longer based around government and control and compliance, and we shifted to transparency and growth and freedom? It only takes a small handful of really aware people to make that shift. So what I'm suggesting is start believing that. Start listening to stuff that maybe I say, stuff that other people say about the way the new world works and looks, and then start trusting that there's people in place that can do that and it's ready for it, and that the old paradigms will just fall away. So we start inserting a new reality even though there's an existing reality. And this is where the advanced level stuff is. You just know in your heart that things can be different. Know that your reality can shift in an instant. This is some of the stuff that Joy teaches in her Presence Manifest. It's like end the experience of failure, end the experience of not love or 3D love or whatever, and enter the experience of unconditional love, enter the experience of transparency, enter the experience of abundance, of joy, of giving, of receiving. Just basically trusting that whatever you put into your mind will start to become a projection of a new reality. And it's like loading the movie into the projector is our mind. And there's many, many deep spiritual people that talk about this, and that our projector's just mangled up because we don't believe that we're creating our reality. So what I'm feeling really strongly now is to insert a new reality, one that is beyond your wildest dreams, is one that feels good, feels safe, feels like all the old stuff peels away, and just insert that into your projector of your mind and start using your mind to build an image of what that looks like, to build that feeling inside, that joy, that excitement of this new place, of finding the new relationship and finally getting through your work and finally moving to a place where you can be self-sufficient and you can be artistic and you can be your true self, and feel that in your body, in your soul, in every iota of your being, and then changes start to happen. And that's what I'm encouraging right here, is to start trusting that new is possible and start shifting your perspective that these things that have been happening don't have to continue to happen. And some magic starts to grow inside. That's where I'm at now. So I'm not saying I'm special or no better or more advanced than anyone. I'm just saying this is the most advanced level of awareness that I've had. And there's huge evidence growing inside me that it's true. And I'm just suggesting it, and I'd love to hear your feedback. And how's that working out for you? Is there new reality coming in? Why are we getting smashed in all these old areas? Why are we being shown all the old crap and having to step above it? Because we're creating something way better. The vibration is going to be way higher, and it's time for all of humanity to step out of this. Because it's not sustainable. It's a mess. So take a look inside. See if any of that's true. Does that feel true in your heart? And then if it does, just start by planting little seeds of, that loving, beautiful, unconditionally loving relationship, that beautiful abundance where you get paid for what you love, and it's not a job, it's a passion. Just start planting those seeds and trusting that they're ready to harvest, or they're ready to bloom, so you can eventually harvest them. And that's where we're at right now. This is really deep times. There's lots of fertilizer around and lots of chances to plant some new seeds, and we just got to keep canceling out the old story. End that experience, end that experience, end that experience, end that experience. Anything that doesn't feel good, end that experience. If people's attacking you, end that experience, end betrayal, end things like faith and trust, because they're based on old principles, and maybe they're religion based. Now faith and trust is about you, not about God or the universe. You'd be surprised the things that are twisted and jaded that we're just ending. Anything that doesn't feel like it's working, just keep saying end it, end it, end it. It's like that defrag program I was telling you about. If you keep using end every time something pops up or hurts you, or you got a bully running around in your head and brain and you don't know what to do with it, you just keep ending it. Eventually you're going to get a word in edgewise, and you're going to start to realize that those stories aren't serving us. And then you've created space for something new. New garden, new seeds, new possibilities. Eventually we want to get to unlimited possibilities. So try it. Let me know what comes back. I'm going to try it. I'm going to tell you everything that I see and how it shows up. It's time. It's time for a massive change, and it's time for way better. I love you all. Have a good night, and we'll talk more soon. Keep shining.